Okay, so this week's verse of the week is a nice simple one. It's John chapter 3, verse 30, which says, "He must become greater, I must become less. He must become greater, I must become less." And this is John the Baptist speaking. And the context of this verse is basically his disciples, John the Baptist's disciples, are seeing that Jesus is now baptizing as John had been baptizing. John had drawn the crowds. Many people were going out and to hear John speak and to be baptized in the river. But now Jesus has started baptizing and the crowds are going to him, and his disciples, John's disciples, come to John and say, look what's happening. The crowds are going to Jesus. Jesus is baptizing them. And so I guess there's a sense of jealousy there. I guess there's a sense of comparison there. What's happened to us? Why aren't people coming to us anymore? What's so good about him? Why is Jesus now drawing the crowd? And John's response is basically this: he must become greater, I must become less. You see, John understood who Jesus was and who he was. He had said to his disciples before, "I'm not the Messiah. There's one coming that is greater than I, whose sandals I am unworthy to untie." So he understood. And it's so important, I think, for us today, in the world we live in, where we live in, the Instagram, Facebook, social media world, don't we? Where people post about their lives and, it's a look at me, look at my life, look at what I'm doing today, look at what food I'm eating, look at what holidays I've had, look how happy, how great my life is. We live in that world, don't we? That without maybe even realizing it, it's seeking to draw attention to ourselves. It's almost like the whole thing is set up to give us the glory. Look at my life. Look at what I'm doing. Look how great I'm getting on. Look how great my life is. And without even really realizing it, we've fallen for the trap of the Garden of Eden all over again, haven't we? Where even though that Adam and Eve were created in the image of God, Satan comes in, the serpent comes in and says, did God really say? Can you, he's effectively saying, can you really trust God? Actually, if you eat the fruit, you will know good from evil and you will be like God. And so the temptation is always to draw us away from worshipping God to almost like trusting in ourselves and promoting ourselves. And that is at the heart of what sin really is. It's putting ourselves in the place of God so that we call the shots and that we decide what's right and wrong. And we do what we want in life. And it's and that message has, throughout the ages, has had its subtle ways of coming back in. And I think it's so prevalent today in that we make ourselves the center of it all. And it's like we don't even realize, but we're saying the story is really about us. The story is about our glory. And yet John has understood who Jesus is and who he is. He's the Messiah. It's all about him. He must become greater and I must become less. Have we understood that yet? Have you understood that yet? Actually, history isn't revolving around you. It's revolving around Jesus. History isn't there to glorify you. It's there, the Bible says that God is going to bring all things under one head, Jesus Christ. That's where history is going. Jesus is going to be glorified. It's just we're part of his team, if you like. We're part of his family. And it's good news, actually, that the world doesn't revolve around us. It revolves around Jesus. And I can't remember who said it first, but someone once said, that once you solve the glory issues, then it goes a long way to solving all the other issues. And John has understood who gets the glory. It's Jesus. Life isn't about my glory. Life is about giving Jesus the glory. Have we understood that yet? Have we solved the glory issue? I want to encourage you this week. Meditate upon these verses. Take them to heart. It's good for our soul to understand. Life is about actually Jesus being greater. It's not about us being greater. I need to become less. He needs to become more. It's so humbling. It's so freeing. It's so releasing. And it helps us to walk in humility, giving glory to Jesus, which is what we were created to do. So I just want to encourage you, meditate on these verses. Come back to them this week. They're nice and easy. He must become greater. I must become less. And we'll see you again soon.